You've been paying your credit card bill for years, every month. Like clockwork. You open the app, you see the number, and somewhere in your chest there's that quiet, familiar sting. You pay it, you move on. You tell yourself you're being responsible, but here's what nobody told you: while you were busy being responsible, other people were getting paid. Not rich people, not finance bros with six-figure salaries in corner offices, regular people. People spending the exact same amount as you on groceries, on gas, on Netflix, on dinner, and quietly collecting hundreds, sometimes over $1,000 a year, just by using the right card. One guy, average income, average spending, nothing special about his financial life, switched to the right combination of cards in early 2024. By the end of the year, he had collected $1,100 in cash back. He didn't change what he bought, he didn't spend more, he just stopped using the wrong card. $100. That's a car payment. That's a flight to Europe. That's 3 months of groceries. That's money that used to disappear into thin air, and now it was landing back in his pocket like a quiet little dividend on his everyday life. And here's the part that should make you stop and think. You're already spending the money. Every single month, you are already spending money on food, on transportation, on subscriptions, on household bills, on all the invisible costs of just being alive in 2026. The money is already leaving your account. The only question is whether you're getting anything back for it. Right now, there's a very good chance the answer is no, and that's not your fault. Nobody sat you down and explained this. Your parents probably told you to stay away from credit cards, and they weren't wrong, for their time, for their circumstances. But the world has changed, and the game has changed with it. Because today, in 2026, there are 7 credit cards that will literally pay you to spend money you were already going to spend. No gimmicks. No tricks. No fine print that makes the whole thing fall apart, just real cash back, real points, real travel credits landing in your account every single month. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which cards they are, exactly how much money you could be earning based on your real spending, and the one simple rule that makes all of it work without ever paying a single dollar in interest. But before we get to the cards, we need to talk about something first. We need to talk about why most people exactly like you, are leaving billions of dollars on the table every single year. Not because they're bad with money, not because they're not smart enough, but because of something that was put in your head a long time ago, something you probably still believe right now, sitting there watching this. And until we clear that out, the cards won't matter. So stay with me. Think back to the first time you heard the words credit card. Where were you? How old were you? And more importantly, what was the feeling in the room when it came up? For most people watching this, it wasn't a good feeling. Maybe it was your mom, sitting at the kitchen table late at night, rubbing her temples over a stack of bills. Maybe it was your dad, voice tight with stress, saying, "We put too much on the card this month." Maybe it was a family member who got into trouble, real trouble, and credit cards were somewhere in the story. Or maybe nobody said anything at all. Maybe it was just this quiet, unspoken understanding in your household that credit cards were dangerous. That they were for people who couldn't control themselves, that good, responsible people paid with cash, or saved up, or did without, and so that belief settled into you. Deep and quiet, like sediment at the bottom of a lake, and you carried it into adulthood. Maybe you avoided credit cards entirely for years. Maybe you got one but kept the limit low on purpose, just in case. Maybe even now, when you use one, there's a small flicker of guilt, like you're doing something slightly irresponsible, even when you're not. That feeling, that guilt, it is costing you money, real money, every single month. Here's the truth that the financial system never bothered to explain to people like us: credit cards are not inherently dangerous, debt is dangerous. Interest is dangerous, not understanding the tool is dangerous, but the card itself, the card is neutral. It's a piece of infrastructure. And like any piece of infrastructure, it can work for you or against you, depending entirely on how you use it, and right now, for most working and middle-class Americans, it is working against them. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they were never taught the other side of the equation. Here's a number that should genuinely disturb you. Americans forfeit an estimated $30 billion in credit card rewards every single year. $30 billion. Sitting there, unclaimed, unredeemed, just evaporating, because people either don't have the right cards, or they have the right cards and don't know how to use them. That's not a Wall Street problem, that's not a billionaire problem. That's a you problem. And a me problem. That's money that belongs to working people, people who earned it, spent it, and then watched it disappear because nobody handed them the manual. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because if you look at how genuinely wealthy people, not the inherited kind, but the first generation, built it themselves kind, if you look at how they use credit cards, the pattern is striking. They don't avoid them, they don't fear them, they use them for everything: groceries, bills, business expenses, subscriptions, travel. Every dollar that has to leave their account anyway, it goes through a rewards card first, and then at the end of the month, they pay the balance. In full, every time, without exception. And in doing so, they quietly collect hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars every year in cash back, points, and travel credits. Money that the average person simply never sees. This is not a secret available only to the wealthy. These cards are open to you right now, today. Some of them have no annual fee, some of them will give you a sign-up bonus worth hundreds of dollars in the first 3 months alone. The difference was never access, the difference was knowledge, and that's exactly what we're about to fix. Because here are the 7 credit cards that will pay you genuinely, literally pay you, to spend money you were already going to spend, starting with number 7, the simplest and most underrated card for everyday life. Card number 7. And I want you to pay attention here, because this one is for the person who is tired. The person who has heard about rewards cards before, tried to figure out the points system, got confused, got frustrated, and quietly gave up. The person who just wants something simple. Something that works, something they don't have to think about. This card is for you, the Wells Fargo Active Cash Card. No annual fee. No rotating categories. No complicated portal. No points that expire or transfer rules that require a spreadsheet to understand, just a flat, clean, honest 2% cash back on every single purchase you make. Groceries, gas, Amazon, your electric bill, your gym membership. Every dollar you spend, 2 cents comes back to you, every time, without exception. Now I know what you're thinking. 0.2% doesn't sound like much. Let's do the math together. The average American household spends roughly $3,000 a month. That's not extravagant. That's groceries, rent or mortgage, utilities, transportation, subscriptions, the occasional dinner out. Just the quiet, grinding cost of being alive and keeping a household running in 2020. 6.2% of $3,000 is $60 a month. $60 a month is $720 a year. $720 a year for doing absolutely nothing different, for buying the exact same things, at the exact same stores, on the exact same days, just with a different card in your hand. That is $720 that is currently going nowhere right now, every year you wait. But card number 7 is just the beginning. Card number 6. The Citi Double Cash Card. On the surface, it looks almost identical to the Wells Fargo Active Cash, and in some ways, it is. It also offers 2% cash back on everything, 1% when you buy, and another 1% when you pay your bill. No annual fee, simple, clean. But here's what makes the Citi Double Cash psychologically brilliant, and I mean that seriously, because the way this card is structured says something important about how you should think about money. That second 1%, the one you get when you pay, is a quiet, built-in reminder. It rewards the behavior that makes this whole system work. It literally pays you to pay your bill. Every single month, when you clear that balance, the card acknowledges it. It says, "Good, you did the right thing. Here's your reward." For people who are building new financial habits, that psychological loop is more powerful than it sounds, and paired with the Wells Fargo Active Cash, you now have a foundation. A base layer. A pair of no-fee cards that together are quietly generating cash back on every dollar you spend, every single month, with zero annual cost and zero complexity. But we're just warming up. Card number 5. The Chase Freedom Unlimited. And this is where things start to get a little more interesting and a little more unfair to the people who don't know about it. Because while most people look at this card and see the standard 1.5% cash back on general purchases and stop reading there, the people who actually pay attention notice something else entirely. 3% cash back on dining, 0.3% on drugstore purchases, and if you book travel through Chase, 5% back on that too. Now think about your actual life for a second. Think about how many times a week you grab food, whether that's a sit-down restaurant, a takeout order, a coffee run, a quick lunch near the office. Think about how often you're at CVS or Walgreens, picking up medicine, toiletries, household basics. These aren't luxury purchases. These are the invisible, automatic, barely thought about expenses of modern life, and on every single one of them, you could be earning 3% back, right now, today. The average American spends around $3,400 a year on dining alone, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data. 0.3% of $3,400 is $102. Just from eating, just from buying food the way you already buy food, add the drugstore purchases, add the travel. Add the 1.5% on everything else. For a household spending $2,500 to $3,000 a month, the Chase Freedom Unlimited alone can generate $600 to $800 in annual rewards. That's not a rounding error. That's a real number. That's money. And here's the thing that should quietly unsettle you: these three cards, numbers 7, 6, and 5, are the easy ones, the ones with no annual fees. The ones that require the least commitment, the least strategy, the least financial sophistication. The next two cards, they have a trick. A specific, overlooked mechanic that most cardholders completely miss, even the ones who've had the card for years. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Stay with me. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah is 34, she works in healthcare administration. She's not wealthy, not even close, she makes decent money, but after rent, after her car payment, after sending a little back home to her mom every month, there's never as much left over as she'd like. She's careful. She's responsible, she tracks her spending in a notes app on her phone. Every week, without fail, Sarah goes to the grocery store. She spends somewhere between $180 and $220 each visit of produce, protein, household staples, the occasional treat. She pays with her debit card because that's what she's always done. That's what feels safe. That's what feels controlled, and every single week, for the last 3 years, Sarah has been leaving money on the table. Not a little money, hundreds of dollars a year, quietly, invisibly. Without ever knowing it was happening, because Sarah doesn't have card number 4. Card number 4. The American Express Blue Cash Preferred Card, and I need you to understand something before I give you the number, because the number is going to sound almost too good to be real. 6% cash back on groceries, not 2%, not 3%. 0.6%. At U.S. supermarkets, up to $6,000 in annual spending, which covers the vast majority of what most households actually spend on food. Let's put that in real terms. The average American household spends roughly $5,700 a year on groceries, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics 2025 data. 6% of $5,700 is $342 every year, just on food, just on the thing you were already buying, at the store you were already going to, with money you were already spending. Sarah's 3 years of debit card grocery runs, that's over $1,000 she never collected, and it doesn't stop at groceries. The Blue Cash Preferred also gives you 6% back on select U.S. streaming subscriptions, your Netflix, your Disney Plus, your Spotify, all of it, and 3% back on gas in transit. Yes, there's an annual fee, $95 a year after the first year, but here's the math that makes the fee almost laughable: $342 from groceries. Add maybe $40 from streaming, add $80 from gas. That's roughly $460 in annual cash back on conservative spending estimates against a $95 annual fee. You're still clearing $365 in pure profit every single year without changing a single habit. Sarah, the woman who thought she was being responsible with her debit card, she was quietly losing $365 a year to a card she didn't know existed. That's not a small thing. That's real money, and for people in the working and middle class, people where every dollar has a job, where there's no fat to trim, where financial breathing room is hard-won, at $365 is significant. But now let's talk about the card that changes the game entirely: card number 3. The Chase Sapphire Preferred. And before you say anything, I know you've heard of this one. Maybe you've even considered it before and talked yourself out of it. The annual fee put you off. Or the whole points thing felt complicated. Or you just thought, that's not really for someone like me. I need you to sit with that thought for a second. That's not really for someone like me. Because that right there, that quiet, almost unconscious self-exclusion, is exactly what the financial industry is counting on. Here's what the Chase Sapphire Preferred actually does. You get 3x points on dining, 0.3x on online grocery purchases, 0.2x on all other travel. And right now, in 2026, the sign-up bonus sits at roughly 60,000 points after spending $4,000 in the first 3 months. Chase values those points at a minimum of 1 cent each, so that's $600 in travel right there, just for hitting a spending threshold you were probably going to hit anyway. But here's the trick, the mechanic most people miss: when you redeem those points through the Chase Travel Portal, they're worth 25% more. That 60,000 points sign-up bonus, it's not worth $600 in that scenario, but it's worth $750. And every point you earn going forward on every dinner, every grocery run, every flight is worth 25% more than face value the moment you redeem it the right way. That is not a technicality, that is hundreds of dollars of difference over the course of a year. And now, and this is where it gets genuinely powerful, imagine pairing the Chase Sapphire Preferred with the Chase Freedom Unlimited from card number 5. Because here's what most people don't know, you can transfer the cash back you earn on the Freedom Unlimited, which normally pays out as cash, into Chase Ultimate Rewards points. And then redeem those points through the Sapphire portal at that 25% bonus rate. Suddenly, your Freedom Unlimited isn't earning 1.5% back on general purchases. It's effectively earning 1.875%, your 3% on dining isn't 3%. It's 3.75%, this is called card stacking. And it's the quiet, legal, completely accessible strategy that turns an already good rewards system into something that starts to feel almost unfair. The average household running this two-card combination, Sapphire Preferred plus Freedom Unlimited, on normal everyday spending, can realistically generate $900 to $1,200 in annual value. Not hypothetically and not in a best-case scenario, realistically, conservatively, and we haven't even gotten to the top 2 yet. The ones that the financially comfortable have been quietly using for years, the ones with benefits so good that the annual fee doesn't just pay for itself, it pays you back on top of that. One of them has a feature that most cardholders, even current cardholders, don't fully understand, and once you hear it, you're going to want to check your wallet immediately. There's someone in your life, maybe you know them well, maybe you just follow them from a distance, but there's someone. And something about their life just seems to flow a little easier than yours. They take trips. Not constantly, not extravagantly, but they go places. They flew somewhere last spring. They're talking about a trip next fall, and you find yourself doing the quiet math in your head. How are they affording that? Their salary isn't dramatically different from yours, their life doesn't look that different from yours on paper, but somewhere along the way, they figured something out that you didn't. And there's a very real chance, a genuinely significant chance, that part of the answer is sitting in their wallet right now. Card number 2. The Capital One Venture X. And I want to be careful here, because this card has an annual fee of $395, and the moment most people hear that number, they check out. They close the tab, they move on, because $395 sounds like a rich person number. It sounds like something you justify with a corner office and a company expense account. But here's what actually happens when you do the math. Every year, Capital One gives Venture X cardholders a $300 travel credit, automatically just for booking travel through their portal: flights, hotels, car rentals. Things you were probably going to book anyway. That $300 credit drops your effective annual fee immediately to $95. But it doesn't stop there. Every year on your account anniversary, you receive 10,000 bonus miles. At Capital One's own valuation, those miles are worth $100 in travel.so. Now your $395 annual fee has been offset by $400 in concrete, usable value before you've earned a single mile on your actual spending. The fee doesn't just pay for itself, it pays you back, and then the card gets to work. 0.2x miles on every purchase. 5x on flights booked through Capital One Travel. 0.10x on hotels and rental cars. Plus unlimited access to Capital One airport lounges and Priority Pass lounges worldwide, a benefit that, if you travel even twice a year, is worth more than most people realize when you're sitting in a real chair, eating real food, with a real drink in your hand, instead of standing in a gate area eating a $19 airport sandwich. This is the card your friend Devin has been quietly using for 2 years. That trip he took last spring, miles; the hotel he stayed in, covered with points. The lounge he waited in before his flight, free. He didn't win a lottery, he didn't get a raise that changed his life, he just stopped leaving money on the table and started collecting what was already his. You've been paying full price for the same life. Devin is living at a discount, and that's not because Devin is smarter than you. It's because Devin has card number 1. Card number 1. The American Express Gold Card, and if you eat food, which I'm going to assume you do, this card was built specifically for your life. For X points on dining, every restaurant, every takeout order, every coffee shop, every work lunch, every dinner out with friends where you pick up the tab and Venmo request everyone later, every single one of those transactions is earning 4 points per dollar. For X points at US supermarkets. Up to $25,000 in annual spending, which is more than most households will ever hit. Think about what that means in real terms. The average American household spends roughly $3,400 a year dining out, and another $5,700 on groceries. Together that's $9,100 in spending that earns 4x points on the Amex Gold. At a conservative valuation of 1 cent per point, that's $364 in annual value just from those two categories alone. But the Amex Gold also comes with $120 in annual dining credits, $10 a month at participating restaurants and apps including Grubhub, The Cheesecake Factory, and others. And $120 in Uber Cash, $10 a month toward Uber rides or Uber Eats orders. That's $240 in credits every single year. On top of your rewards, the annual fee is $325. Subtract $240 in credits and you're at $85. And then your 4x on $9,100 in food spending generates roughly $364. You are now ahead by nearly $280 before you've used the card for a single other purchase. If you are eating out and grocery shopping, and you are, because you are a human being who requires food, and you are not using this card, you are actively, measurably, mathematically losing money every single month. Not theoretically and not in a financial influencer over-promising kind of way, literally, actually, losing money. Now let's bring this all together. Because here's what a real household spending $3,000 a month across groceries, dining, gas, travel, and general purchases could realistically earn running the right combination of these 7 cards. Blue Cash Preferred on groceries, $342. Amex Gold on dining, $136. Chase Freedom Unlimited on general spending, $400. Chase Sapphire Preferred Sign-Up Bonus, Year 1, $750. Capital One Venture X Travel Credits and Anniversary Miles, $400. Conservative Total, Year 1, over $2,000 in combined value. Not by spending more and not by changing your life, just by being intentional about which card you hand over at the register. But here is the one rule. The single, non-negotiable, absolute rule that makes every single thing I just told you work, and without which, none of it matters. Pay your balance. In full. Every single month, without exception. That's it. That's the whole system, because here's the other number you need to know. The average credit card interest rate in 2026 is sitting at 27.65%, according to the Federal Reserve. 27.65%. That number will devour every reward, every point, every cashback dollar, every travel credit, and then keep eating. 1 missed payment. 1 month of carrying a balance. And the math that was working for you starts working against you with a brutality that compounds faster than almost anything else in personal finance. The wealthy people who use these cards as tools? They never carry a balance, not because they're morally superior, not because they have unlimited discipline, but because they understand the math, and the math is merciless. So the system is simple. Pick the card, or the combination of cards, that matches how you actually spend, not how you wish you spent, not your aspirational budget, your real life. Your real groceries, your real dining, your real commute. Set up your regular monthly bills on autopay through that card, utilities, subscriptions, insurance. Every recurring charge that's coming out anyway, run it through the card first. At the end of the month, pay the full balance, automate it if you can make it so the decision doesn't even require willpower. And then collect what's yours. You have been spending money your entire adult life. Every week, every month, every year, money has been leaving your account on all the invisible, unglamorous, completely necessary costs of being alive, of food, transportation, bills. The quiet maintenance of a life, and for most of that time, you got nothing back, not because you did anything wrong, not because you weren't smart enough or disciplined enough or didn't deserve it, but because nobody handed you this information. Nobody sat down with you and said, here's how this actually works. Here's what's available to you. Here's what you've been leaving on the table. Consider this that conversation. You now know the 7 cards. You know the math, you know the system, you know the one rule that holds it all together. The only question left is what you do with it. So drop a comment below, tell me which card you're getting first, or which combination you're going to try. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because next week we're going into something that might be even more important than which card you use. We're talking about what happens after the rewards, how you actually deploy that money to start building something real.